Crime, violence, and a series of unfortunate incidents sustained the new year for Dominica. Calls being sounded for increased protection of women and girls in the country, and a former Calypso monarch dies by drowning. Stay tuned for details after the break.
Are you looking for that perfect setup for your conference, seminar, or company function? Or maybe you need a low-budget setup for your party, dinner, or private gathering? How about that professional production for your grand concert, festival, or outdoor event? Kairi Sounds is here to provide you with everything you need: PA system, stage, lighting, microphones, tents, LED digital screens, generators, projectors, crowd barriers, and more. We also offer free event consultation to ensure the success of your special event. Call us today at 612-4050. Kairi Sounds, your partner in sound, stage, and lighting services.
Welcome back. In our lead story, the new year is not off to a great start, as fatal incidents at the end of 2022 left a bitter taste in the mouth of Dominicans. On Friday, news broke of a domestic dispute in Goodwill, which resulted in the death of student Dr. Velma Valmont, aged 35, of Siniku.
The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force is currently investigating a homicide which occurred at number 4 Jules Lane in Goodwill. On Friday, 30th December 2022, about 11:10 a.m., police officers responded to a report of domestic violence between a woman and her boyfriend, and on arrival at number 4 Jules Lane in Goodwill, the officers found the lifeless body of 45-year-old Velma Valmont of Siniku, Kalinago territory, on the bathroom floor in a pool of blood with a severe laceration across her neck. She was examined and pronounced dead at the scene by a medical doctor, and her body was transported to a funeral home awaiting an autopsy.
Police reports say Valmont's boyfriend, Alexander, aged 32, is currently in a stable condition at the Dominica-China Friendship Hospital after being found in the bathroom of their home frothing at the mouth. Valmont's 18-year-old daughter is currently nursing injuries sustained during the incident.
Velma's boyfriend, Alexander, 42 years old, of Mahu, was also met on the bathroom floor frothing from his mouth and in a state of distress. He was transported to the Accident and Emergency Department of the Dominica-China Friendship Hospital and is in a stable condition. The 18-year-old daughter of Velma, the deceased, is also nursing injuries apparently sustained during the incident at the Dominica-China Friendship Hospital and is also in a stable condition. The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force expresses its sincere condolences to the family and friends of the deceased, Velma Valmont.
Meantime, Minister for Health, Kasani Laville, condemned the violent acts against the now deceased medical student and all forms of domestic abuse. He says the ministry will make all the necessary resources available to support the family, community, and fraternity of the deceased during this time.
The Ministry of Health, Wellness, and Social Services extends deep condolences to the family and friends of the deceased, as well as to the medical fraternity and healthcare providers by extension. The ministry also emphasizes with the daughter of the deceased and hope for a speedy and complete recovery. Given the circumstances surrounding the death, the ministry condemns all acts of domestic violence against women and girls and stands firm with our mandate to protect and advocate against all forms of violence, especially in vulnerable families amongst our women and children. All necessary resources will be made available to support the family, community, and health fraternity during this very traumatic and emotional period.
In related news, the police are also investigating the homicide and suspected suicide of another couple in Mont Prosper. Due to the graphic nature of the videos, viewer discretion is advised. Here's Nathaniel Giron with that story.
On Saturday, December 31st, 2022, the body of Avonelle Charles, aged 46, was found in a pool of blood on the public road near her home in Mont Prosper. Charles's boyfriend, 48-year-old Marshal Jean-Jacques, was considered as a suspect by police in the incident.
The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force is investigating a report of homicide and a suspected suicide, both of which occurred at Mont Prosper. On Saturday, 31st December 2022, about 3 a.m., the lifeless body of a female 46-year-old Avonelle Charles of Mont Prosper was found lying face down in a pool of blood on a public road in an area known as Madame Matt, near her home at Mont Prosper. The police responded and upon examination of the body, noticed injuries to the region of her neck. The body was subsequently examined and pronounced dead by a medical doctor. The body of the deceased is being kept at a funeral home awaiting an autopsy. The boyfriend of the deceased, 48-year-old Marshal Jean-Jacques of Mont Prosper, a suspect, was being sought by the police for investigations.
The following day, Jean-Jacques' lifeless body was found hanging from a tree in Mont Prosper in a suspected suicide.
On Sunday, 1st January 2023, at about 12:50 p.m., a police search team discovered the lifeless body of a male adult fitting the description of Marshal Jean-Jacques in an area known as Labadie in Mont Prosper. The body was found hanging from a tree with a yellow nylon rope tied around the neck. The body was dressed in a black shirt and a pair of blue pants and was identified by 22-year-old Caleb Jean-Jacques as that of his father, Marshal Jean-Jacques. A medical doctor was summoned to the scene where he examined and pronounced the body dead about 1:10 p.m. The scene was processed by crime scene technicians and the body of the deceased was escorted to a funeral home for safekeeping, awaiting an autopsy.
Police condemned these acts of violence and made the appeal to Dominicans to avoid violence in settling their domestic disputes.
The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force extends deepest condolences to the families and friends of the deceased persons. This incident is very sad indeed, and it is regrettable. It comes on the heels of a previous domestic violence incident at Jones Lane in Goodwill, which left a 35-year-old female dead. We appeal to the public that there are ways to resolve domestic disputes other than by violence. Violence does not pay, and this type of violence must be condemned by all in our society.
The death of Avonelle Charles was reportedly the 18th homicide for 2022. Nathaniel Durant, Kairi TV News.
Still on the issue of domestic violence against women, the UWP calls for increased protection of victims of domestic violence in Dominica. Here's Linda Martin with the details.
The violent deaths of 2 women at the hands of their significant others in the last few days have left many shaken. Avonelle Charles and medical student Dr. Velma Valmont were both victims of domestic violence, which resulted in their untimely deaths. In light of this, the United Workers' Party has come forward to condemn these vicious actions and sounds the call for an increase in protection for victims of domestic violence in Dominica. According to a release from the party, the deaths of Dr. Valmont and Miss Charles, along with the deaths of those who have suffered a similar fate in the past, should not be allowed to go in vain. In addition to bringing those responsible for justice, now is an opportune time to focus attention on the increasing incidence of domestic violence and abuse, particularly directed against women and girls, that continues to plague Dominica, and send a strong message to the perpetrators that any act of violence is unacceptable. The party went on to call on government to review and strengthen existing laws to offer added protection from violence to women and girls, as well as stiffen penalties for perpetrators. The call is also being sounded for government to ensure that measures are put in place to safeguard the dignity and integrity of women and girls. To the men of Dominica, the party makes the appeal to respect women and girls and find ways to speak through differences, seeking non-violent options to resolve them in efforts to end this cycle of domestic violence in Dominica. Linda Martin for Kairi TV News.
This is the Kairi TV News. Stay tuned for more after this break.
Are you looking for that perfect setup for your conference, seminar, or company function? Or maybe you need a low-budget setup for your party, dinner, or private gathering? How about that professional production for your grand concert, festival, or outdoor event? Kairi Sounds is here to provide you with everything you need: PA system, stage, lighting, microphones, tents, LED digital screens, generators, projectors, crowd barriers, and more. We also offer free event consultation to ensure the success of your special event. Call us today at 612-4050. Kairi Sounds, your partner in sound, stage, and lighting services.
Welcome back. The year 2023 started off on a sad note as four-time Calypso King Solo died by drowning in Dominica. Tragedy struck in Dominica again when four-time Calypso King Melvin Solo Constant died on Monday, January 2nd. King Solo reportedly drowned while bathing at T-Bay in Portsmouth. King Solo, who is visiting his home country with his family from the United States, allegedly came into distress while swimming. Efforts to resuscitate the 75-year-old proved futile, after which he was transported to the Reginald Fitzgerald Armour Hospital in Portsmouth, where he was pronounced dead. King Solo was known for his popular rendition of Mass in the Cemetery, Black Man Leads the Way, and I Pleasing Me Fans. And the long holiday weekend was marred by unfortunate deaths and criminal activities that have left several Dominicans in shock. Please note viewer discretion is advised for the following videos. One man has been fighting for his life after receiving several stab wounds from an altercation with another man in Glenville, Portsmouth. When Kairi took to the scene, we were told by some residents that only a miracle could save the life of the injured man. Meanwhile, a robbery at a Sunset Bay Club has left some staff in panic when three masked men entered the premises and held the proprietor, staff, and guests at gunpoint and demanded money from the owner and an employee. Police are in search of the men, and Kairi News was told by one person in the Salisbury area on Monday that they are certain the police will find them. You're watching the Kairi TV News. Stay tuned for a recap of the headlines right after this.
Are you looking for that perfect setup for your conference, seminar, or company function? Or maybe you need a low-budget setup for your party, dinner, or private gathering? How about that professional production for your grand concert, festival, or outdoor event? Kairi Sounds is here to provide you with everything you need: PA system, stage, lighting, microphones, tents, LED digital screens, generators, projectors, crowd barriers, and more. We also offer free event consultation to ensure the success of your special event. Call us today at 612-4050. Kairi Sounds, your partner in sound, stage, and lighting services.
To end the news, the headlines once again. Crime, violence, and a series of unfortunate incidents stain the new year for Dominica. Calls being sounded for increased protection of women and girls in the country. And a former Calypso monarch dies by drowning. Tune into 107.9, 93.1, 91.1, and 88.7 FM Monday to Friday for our radio newscasts at 6:30 a.m., 1 p.m., and 5:30 p.m. Go to Kairi TV on Flow Channel 953 to watch our TV newscasts Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. with repeats at 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/KairiFM. Check us out on Instagram at KairiFM and follow us on Twitter at KairiFM Dominica. Visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch up on any newscasts you may have missed. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Vanessa Bruno, wishing you all the best for 2023.